You're on mute at the moment, Michaela. Okay, brilliant. So, Michaela, just to check, I want to check that I can hear you. So if you just say something.
Good evening.
Brilliant. Okay, and can you see the timer, Michaela?
Yes, I can see the timer.
Okay, right. The floor is yours.
Okay, so good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. This evening I am going to talk about walnuts, and this is quite a random subject. We moved into our house in 2002, and there was a tree at the bottom of the garden. So we built a playhouse for our children, and this was their magical place where they used to play, but it was also a place for fairies. And the tree was where the fairies lived. And we didn't know what this tree was. We had no idea what kind of tree it was. So, but the tree was the entrance to the secret world of Fairy Jade and Fairy Gilbert. My daughter can tell you lots of stories about Fairy Jade. So we didn't know what the tree was, and we had no idea about trees and gardens. Having moved from Lewisham, where we had a very small garden, we didn't know what kind of tree it was. So it had green pods on it all of the summer and blossom in the spring, as trees do. But these pods would just fall down, leaving nothing. And we thought, oh, you know, these might be figs or there might be something else. So it was only around 2012 that I sat down and watched this group of squirrels with one ringleader crawling all over this tree and then burying things in the garden. I still didn't work out what it was. So I later learned the following year that it was a walnut tree, and it was brimming with yummy free organic walnuts. So does anybody have a walnut tree in their garden that, you know, they can probably relate to me about how wonderful it is to have a walnut tree in your garden? So I'm sure you'll be aware that this subject is, if you do have a walnut tree, you need to have high security, because if you want to harvest any nuts from that tree, you need to be very vigilant, because squirrels are fast and they are very, very smart. So for many years, we've been subjected to theft of walnuts from our tree. And we've had, I've been monitoring it for the last 5 years, and I've had Stephen, I've had Sean, I've had Samuel, I've had Shola, and this year I've had Sydney. Now, normally they come in packs and you have one ringleader, and those are the ones that I've named. But this year, Sydney has come on his lonesome. He's been all on his own this year, and he's very difficult to catch, and he's very funny to watch, but you have to be there. You have to be, and I think it's only because of lockdown that I'm actually very vigilant, because normally I'm not here during the day, so I haven't seen them in action during the day except at weekends. So Sydney, he turned up this September and he climbed up the tree, and Tony and I sat and watched him, and he unpeeled a pod, checked it out, and then he went. And we didn't see him for another 2 weeks, and he came back and he checked out the goods, and then he went away again. And I know it's him because I've been photographing him, and I've actually studied his tail, and his tail is the same tail, so I know it's him because I've got pictures of other squirrels and they've got different tails. So this one has got a big ginger streak right down the back of his tail. So I saw him recently. I think it was probably about a week ago, and he came in and he looked around and then he went away, and I thought, yes, definitely the walnuts are going to be ready. So I went out and I collected 300 in the first 2 days, and I uploaded those pictures of me and Sydney in competition collecting walnuts onto social media, and people found it really funny, especially that Sydney the squirrel had a name. So Tony, my husband, he went into the garden last weekend and harvested 1,000 nuts, and we have them in our living room right by the window. They're drying out at the moment, and today I caught Sydney eyeing them through the window. So they don't go by smell, squirrels, obviously, they go by nuts, what they look like, because he was sitting there looking actually at the nuts, but I just missed him when I wanted to take his photo. So people are, I did a social media competition this weekend of how many nuts that we had and how many nuts we'd harvested on Saturday, and there were over 100 guesses. So people are going crazy over my nuts. My 95-year-old grandmother is sprinkling them on her cereal every morning. And now I'm going nuts myself as to what to do with all these 1,000 nuts I've got in my living room, because we don't know. So what I've decided is to do an online bid for charity for a bag of fresh organic nuts. So am I able to share my screen? Am I able to do that? Is anybody able to do that for me without wasting too much time? If not, I'll share the pictures with you later. So I did have a lovely picture of Sid. I know you'd all love to see him. And I've got my walnut tree, and I've also got a picture of my 1,000 walnuts on the floor. So in conclusion, nature is a truly wonderful thing, and we can get so much from nature. And I hope my story has illustrated how entertaining it can be and fun harvesting nuts whilst trying to outwit the crafty creatures that steal your loot. And please don't worry too much about Sid. We have left him enough, and he's buried enough of them in our garden that next year we'll probably have about 5 walnut trees growing. So thank you.
Thank you, Michaela. Mr. Timer, please, can we have 1 minute on the clock for the judges to do their briefing, do their tallying up?
Yeah, hold on.
Mihaela, now you can change with Tony. Tony can prepare himself.
Michaela, if you turn your camera off.
The volume, I can't hear. The volume.
Turn the volume up.
How do I do now?
I'll bring it over here. Just 1 sec.
Well, Tony, you won't need to hear anything because we're going to be hearing you. That's all that matters. Yeah.
Sorry, just 1 minute. That's
Okay.
it. Okay.
Yeah. If you turn your camera off, please, Michaela. Okay, so our second speaker is Tony Anaka, and Tony's speech is entitled The Trials and Tribulations of a Family Holiday. So the speech entitled The Trials and Tribulations of Our Family Holiday, Tony Anaka.
Fellow Toastmasters, do you really want me to talk about trials and tribulations of a family holiday? If yes, I will get on with it. Our holiday was in 2013, early 2013. As a family, we got together, said we are going on family holiday to Nigeria. As usual, my wife, Michaela, took over the planning of the holiday. She applied and paid for our visas, visa for her, visa for my two daughters. Obviously, me as a Nigerian, I don't have to pay for visa to go to Nigeria because I have two passports, one for British, one for Nigerian passport. She bought everything. We got all our injections. We ordered a car, which is Ford Galaxy from Germany. We shipped it to Nigeria for our use when we got to Nigeria. On the day of the holiday, we all got excited, got in the car, drove all the way to Heathrow Airport, parked our car, long stay for 10 days, took our luggages, got to the airport, we checked in, all excited, my daughters, everybody was excited. As we got to the duty-free shop, my wife and my daughters were shopping. Everybody was getting excited, spending some money. All of a sudden, we had this announcement. Gate so will be closing in 10 minutes. Gate so will be closing in 10 minutes. And my wife shouted, "Is it our gate?" I said, "Yes." So she packed all her shopping. She dropped everything they were doing. She panicked. We all panicked. We ran. In fact, I've never seen my wife run so fast. We ran as much as we can, got in the lift. My wife was crying. She said, "Oh my God, we'll lose all our money. If we miss the plane, we'll lose all our money." And my daughters and myself were laughing. We laughed so much that we nearly wetted ourselves. Luckily for us, when we got to the plane, being a Nigerian aeroplane and what we call African time, the plane actually didn't leave for another hour. So to our own amusement, all the rushing, all the panic, all the cry was all in vain. But because my wife was so much in panic about losing the money, we all rushed and rushed. Eventually, once we settled down, everybody was happy. Then, when we got into the plane, the drama starts. We got our seat at the top. We were supposed to leave our hand luggages. Other people have already put their luggages in there. And my wife started shouting, "Whose luggages are these?" I don't know if you ever traveled to Nigeria on a big aeroplane. What they call hand luggages is more than 20 kilos. And they call it hand luggages. My wife was shouting. Everybody was looking at us. Eventually, one of the stewards came to us and said, "Look, they will organize for our luggages to be put in a good compartment." And he explained to us that the luggage compartment above our seat is not actually entitled to us. That was an eye-opening for us that day, because we thought when you have a seat, the luggage compartment above you belonged to that seat, but it still was said to us no. But luckily for us, he just took our luggages, packed it, and we are happy. As soon as the plane took off, the lady sitting in front of my wife, relaxed her chair back, and she was lying on my wife's knees. And my wife was hitting her, kicking her in the back. And then she turned back and said, "Oh, why are you kicking me? I'm pregnant." My wife said, "Then don't lie on my knees." And she won't have it. Have you ever been on an aeroplane? As soon as it takes off, the person in front of you will just adjust their seat and forgot that you are behind them. That was what happened. From there to go to Nigeria, my wife was kicking her. She was shouting, "Look, I'm pregnant." Eventually, we got to Nigeria. And as we got to the airport, the heat actually hit us. And we got to the immigration with Nigerian airport. The immigration officers, they were asking us questions. They wanted to know about yellow fever, whether I had injection. We searched everywhere. Eventually, I was able to produce the certificate, and that saved us. If not, we would have been in real trouble. And because I know Nigerian system, I was calm, but my wife was not calm. She was panicking. I said to her, "Calm down." We finished that. As soon as we got out of the airplane, the airport, another hustle was the towels. We have a lot of towels there. "Oh, let me help you. Let me take you to the car," because they want to earn some money. I gave them money and they led us to a taxi, which you have to be careful. If you go to the wrong taxi, you might not end up where you're going. But because I know Nigeria, I'm a Nigerian, so I know the system, we were able to go in the right taxi, which took us to the hotel. The following day, my brother, who's the driver for the car we used in Nigeria, came and took us, picked us up to go to East. It's a long journey, and the way he was driving, my wife nearly had heart attack. He was speeding, he was going, at times he was driving the wrong way. I wasn't panicking because I know the system. I've been in there. I know that anything can happen in Nigeria. The way they drive, you got to be careful yourself. But my wife nearly had heart attack. We got to Nigeria, we settled down, and then we relaxed, we enjoyed our holiday. But that experience, especially the traveling and the woman in the plane, put my wife off going to Nigeria. In conclusion, have you ever been tasted to the highest when you travel that put you off going holiday? I have. Over to you, contest chair.
Thank you, Tony.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tony.
My voice.